Hello everyone and welcome back to our series of discussion about the topics regarding and related to understanding the self course. This is me again, Sir June Michael, your philosophy and social science mentor. And for today's video, we shall be discussing about 4 epistemological theories because we are already on our topics on the matters of learning how to become a better learner. Like I said, we shall be talking about 4 epistemological theories that are utilized in major educational systems around the world. So these are Rationalism, Empiricism, Pragmatism, and Constructivism. So are you excited to learn? Then keep watching this video. If you want to learn how to become a better learner, then you have to know first how do humans generate knowledge. You have to start with the basic of how do we really know? Paano nga ba tayo natuto? How do humans generate learning? And this theory of knowledge is basically the concern of epistemology. Epistemology is a branch of systematic philosophy that deals with the theory of knowledge. So the basic concern of epistemologists is to know how do we know. Now, its main concern was to deal with how do humans generate learning. And ito yung pag-uusapan natin sa video ito. So let's talk about rationalism. What do we mean by rationalism? Rationalism is an epistemological theory that believes that knowledge is innate in a human being. In other words, the rationalist philosophers such as Plato in the ancient time, René Descartes in the modern time, including Immanuel Kant, the rationalists believe that knowledge is inborn. It's built in the human system. In the ancient time, Plato defines man as a rational animal, believing that human beings are gifted with intelligence, and this is something that is common to all men. And since man is gifted with intelligence, then it is nature for man to know that knowledge is already in the mind. And this is what Plato tells us, that knowledge is something that is in the level of ideas, something that is in the mind, something that is eternal, something that is unchanging. Likewise, in the modern times, René Descartes believed that the self is a thinking being, that the self is a cogito, the one who thinks, who judges, and therefore, for René Descartes, it is nature for man to know, since man has innate knowledge. The same is also in the belief of Immanuel Kant. For Immanuel Kant, knowledge is something that is already built in, since man is gifted with this mind, with this intelligence. That is why Immanuel Kant concludes that a human person possesses the so-called priori knowledge. So this man has this priori knowledge, since these rationalists believe that knowledge is innate or inborn in a human person. The second epistemological theory that we are going to discuss in this video is empiricism. What do we mean by empiricism? Empiricism is a philosophical movement in the modern time founded by John Locke, an English philosopher. And the empiricists believed that knowledge is entirely a product of human experience. So this is actually a contradiction to what the rationalists had claimed, that knowledge is innate. So on the other hand, the empiricism advocates the idea that knowledge is entirely a product of human experience, that our knowledge is entirely coming from the experience outside of us. John Locke, as the father of empiricism, believes that the human mind at birth is empty. He calls this as tabula rasa. In other words, for Locke, at birth, the mind of a person is like an empty tablet. But later on, as the person experiences the world, as the person experiences the society, the environment outside of himself, the person gains knowledge from these experiences. Similar to empiricism, the third epistemological theory is pragmatism. One of the biggest proponents of pragmatism was John Dewey, an American educator and a philosopher. Dewey believed that learning is generated from our daily actions. For the pragmatists, he believes that knowledge is coming from the practical ideas we do in our everyday life. In other words, the pragmatists would always call it as learning is by doing. That is why in whatever we do with our life every day, we are generating learning, we are generating knowledge into the mind. Do you know that most of the educational systems around the world, especially the United States of America, and right now the Philippines is also adopting this pragmatism's approach to education. In other words, the pragmatism's idea that the students would learn more when they do something in the class, when they do or perform something in the class, is actually the basis of the Philippine educational system. They call it today as outcomes-based education. And the outcomes-based education is actually rooted on the philosophical idea of John Dewey, that is the pragmatism. Now, if we are going to analyze empiricism and pragmatism, they are actually closely related to each other. And this is due to the fact that in the pragmatist's approach, the learners are actually engaged into actions. And in empiricism, actions are also part of sensations. They are also part of human experience. Activities inside the classroom, doing performances inside the classroom, these are part of experiences. That is why I would always say that the empiricism and pragmatism are actually very close to each other, right? The fourth epistemological theory is Constructivism. Constructivism was proposed and claimed and theorized by Jean Piaget, a Swiss educator, psychologist, and a philosopher. The Constructivists believe that knowledge is coming from the interaction between our prior ideas or prior knowledge and experiences. So this is actually a combination between rationalism and empiricism, if you would like to see it. The Constructivists believe that the human person has a mind that is rational. The human person has a built-in intelligence that gives the person the power to construct meaning. And the Constructivists also believe that indeed a person can also gain something from the experiences, from the sensations outside of him. And so the Constructivists believe that the person has the ability to construct his own meaning. That is why the Constructivism believe that knowledge is depending on how the person construct his own meaning from the interaction between his experiences and prior knowledge. In our modern educational system today, one of the biggest manifestations of this constructivist approach in learning is actually the independent learning that we have in the educational system. And so, dito natin makikita na in the independent learning, the learners are given the chance to construct their own meaning. Believing that the learners have this prior knowledge already about the subject matter, and they are given new experiences, new activities, new performances to do, and by combining these things, then they will be able to create their own meaning. They will be able to construct their own knowledge. And this is the approach of constructivism, that the learners are given the chance to explore, the learners are given the chance to make their own interpretation, to make their own reactions, reflections about the subject matter, so that whatever is the outcome, then it is theirs. They can own it because they were able to construct it from their prior knowledge and their experiences in life. So that ends our video discussion about the 4 epistemological theories. I hope that those 4 epistemological theories would help us answer the question of how do humans generate knowledge. For the next video that we are going to have, we shall be talking about metacognition. We shall be discussing about tips on how to become better learners. See you next vlog. Bye-bye!